Spring has arrived in Iowa, and now is a great opportunity to talk a little bit about home gardening. Growing fruits and vegetables in your own backyard offers many health benefits, including physical activity and healthy produce for you and your family. Some studies have even suggested that gardening can improve your mood and mental health. Today's special guest is Mary Odell. Mary has been Marshalltown Community College's Farm and Community Garden Manager since 2011. She's also involved with community-supported agriculture in Grinnell and tribally supported agriculture at the Meskwaki settlement in Tama. She has a wealth of knowledge to share about gardening at home and in the community. Stay tuned after our special guest to see what recipe Chef Russ has prepared for us today. Without any further delay, here's Mary.
I don't know of anything better than a freshly picked tomato, ripe off the vine, or a fresh ear of corn on your plate sprinkled with pepper and parsley. Gardening can be fun, it can be healthy, and sharing your bounty with your neighbors might even get you a few new friends. I'm Mary Odell, and I'm the farm manager at Marshalltown College. Gardening gives back to you many great health benefits. It gets you outside in the fresh air and sunshine, and it gets you moving, so you'll sit less and limber up. Might even help reduce some of the stress in your life. Gardening can also improve your diet because you might eat more of the fruits and vegetables you grow, especially if they're right outside your door. If you've never had a fresh picked strawberry, you are really missing something there. Fruits and vegetables are especially delicious with a more intense flavor when fully ripe and freshly picked. Research has shown that eating fresh fruits and vegetables as part of an overall healthy diet can reduce your risk for some long-term diseases, such as heart disease, strokes, and certain types of cancer. And if you replace some of those high-calorie, unhealthy foods with more fruits and vegetables from your garden, then you'll also reduce your calorie intake. Your mental health might be enhanced as well by gardening. Being physically active in natural environments has been found in some studies to improve mood, reduce anxiety, and enhance your self-esteem. Gardening may contribute to lowering blood pressure and increase strength, especially in your hands. Let's not forget the kiddos either. Some studies have found that kids who garden tend to make healthier food choices and eat more fruits and veggies. Children may find they actually enjoy eating the fruits and vegetables they have grown themselves. Trying new foods overall might be easier for them if they try new and novel produce from the garden. It's no secret that Americans generally don't eat enough fruits and vegetables. In fact, 1 in 5 Iowans don't get enough fruits and vegetables in their diet. If we did as the Dietary Guidelines for Americans published in 2015 recommended, we would be eating 2.5 cups of vegetables and 2 cups of fruit every single day. We know only a small percentage of adults meet the recommendation of fruits and vegetables. It's pretty easy to get more vegetables in your diet. Eat the rainbow. Choose an assortment of colors and types every day. Broccoli, spinach, collard greens, kale, and other dark leafy greens are good choices. Choose red and orange vegetables too. Tomatoes, carrots, sweet potatoes, red peppers. Most of these are easy to grow at home in your garden. If you're taking certain medications though, be aware that some foods can interfere with how medications work. So do a little research, ask your doctor or your pharmacist if you have any questions about any of the medications you are taking. Don't have space for a backyard garden, you say? Not a problem. Carrots, lettuce, kale, and peppers, to name a few, don't require a lot of space, and you can grow them in pots. You can even put some tomatoes in a hanging basket. Container gardening is a great place for a new gardener to start. If you don't want to or are not allowed to dig up your yard, I can show you how to plant a container garden. So it's easier to plant a container garden. It can be a big pot like this. It can be a regular pot like this, a burlap sack, or a well-used grocery sack, the reusable ones. And if you've got a sense of humor, you can even use an old boot with a good quality potting soil. Just dump it on in. And then plant your seeds. Now is a good time to plant peas and lettuce, either plants or seeds. Cover your seeds, unless it's lettuce. And then lettuce needs light to germinate, along with the cool temperatures we're having. Now, check your local ordinances, but do consider replacing some of your ornamental plants in your front yard with other edible plants such as Swiss chard, rhubarb, or raspberries. Ornamentals can be edible too. Now, are you convinced you need to go out and get your hands dirty? Before you do, I have a few tips for safety for you. Get and wear a good pair of gardening gloves. I like thin gloves with leather or suede palms for general use, and then heavier ones for roses or brambles. A good pair of gloves can keep blisters at bay, keep irritants off your hands, think stinging nettles, also can help you avoid cuts. To reduce your risk of sunburn, wear a wide-brimmed hat, sunglasses, and don't forget the sunscreen. You should use one with at least an SPF of 15. Yes, even on a cloudy day. Protect yourself against diseases carried by mosquitoes and ticks. Use an insect repellent containing DEET or other natural ingredients such as essential oils. Also, wearing long sleeve shirts and tuck your pant legs inside your shoes or socks. Always, always, always keep water in reach while working outside in the warm weather, and be aware the signs of heat-related illnesses. Those signs can be a high body temperature, a headache, a rapid pulse, dizziness, nausea, confusion, and most importantly, unconsciousness. Seek medical care if it's necessary. Check with your doctor if you've had hip, back, knee, shoulder, or any other joint surgery, or if you have any condition that might be exacerbated by gardening to be sure that you can garden safely. Always do a few stretching exercises before and after working in the garden, and I can show you one that I like. You're going to stand with your feet spread slightly apart, even with your shoulders. You're going to bring your arms up, even level with your shoulders, and then bring your hands up. Now, the goal here is to touch the wall with your hands. If you can't touch the wall with your hands, that's okay. You're going to bring your hands down like this and try to touch the wall. This stretches your shoulder and your upper arms, and it'll help relieve some pain if you've overdone it already, and it'll also keep you from hurting yourself worse if you haven't gone out yet. Do this 3 to 5 times before and after you're out in the garden. Now always do a little bit of warm up before you go out and do any stretches or work in the garden. This stretch is a very good one. But to warm up, what do? Well, one thing you can do is just take a brisk little walk around your neighborhood, around the block, or just around the yard. But be aware that you're not locking your joints. You've probably heard this told you 1,000 times, but I'm going to tell you again, don't lock your joints. And that is, so keep your legs straight or slightly bent, your arms also at a slightly bent, but straight out. You can do that. Just don't lock your elbows. That causes a lot of joint pain and discomfort and could contribute to arthritis later on in life. Always use a steady, smooth movement when stretching and working in the garden. Don't jerk or bounce or yank anything. It's easy to get hurt that way. Now, a mild pulling feeling is quite normal, but if you feel sharp or stabbing pains in anything you're doing, you're overdoing it. And another thing, remember to breathe. You might have to think about it. Breathing will keep the oxygen moving to your muscles and will help keep you from hurting yourself badly. I hope I have prepared you to get out and explore the world of gardening. I'm Mary Odell, and thank you so much for watching.
Today we're going to be doing a honey ginger roast with root vegetables. We're going to start with 1 cup of parsnip, 1 cup of onion, cup of turnip, 1 cup sweet potato, 1 cup Brussels sprouts. Now this particular recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic. I like garlic and it's good for you, it's an antioxidant. So we're going to use 4. It calls for fresh rosemary. Didn't have any on hand, but we've got the rosemary leaves. That'll get the good aromatics going. 3 tablespoons of honey, some olive oil, and some freshly ground ginger. Didn't have any fresh ground, we've got this here. It's just a minor substitution. Salt and pepper to taste, of course, it's a roast. And this time we'll be using beef top round roast. This is a little bit more than we need for this recipe, so we're gonna cut a couple pieces off of it for a nice steak later. So we're gonna start cleaning the hardest part, which is gonna be the turnip. Now when you buy turnips, they're usually gonna have a very thick wax coating. There's 2 ways to get this off. That's either just peel it all off, or you could it says to boil it off, but for this instance, we're just gonna peel it. Just take a good paring knife, and you'll see that it's a good, thick wax coating on there. You don't want to take too much of the skin off of the turnip either, because then you're just losing meat off the turnip. They actually recommend using a paring knife instead of a vegetable peeler, just because it is kind of such a heavy coating of wax. You don't have to be perfect at it. Just get that skin and all that wax off. I generally peel and wash, because then you don't have to worry about dealing with a slippery wet vegetable either. Parsnips are going to be the same way. You can probably scrape a lot of the coating off to get started before, which might help on these parsnips. I know on the turnip there was no way that was going to work. Now, when you eat root vegetables, you're actually eating the stored energy that's in them. Root vegetables are high in carbs, they got good fiber, and by cooking them you actually change the sugar structure as well. So they can go from a tart to a sweet, like a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes raw can be kind of bitter, but you make a sweet potato pie out of it, turns it really sweet. Of course, we all know carbs store a lot of energy that we can use. You can use root vegetables. They're great in stews and roasts, raw, cooked, kind of however you want them. And there's all sorts of different root vegetables you can just grab and go and eat. Carrots is a good one. Turnips are a peel and eat as well. There's one that, it's not a root vegetable, but I like it. It's called kohlrabi. It's kind of like the cross between a radish and a turnip. This particular recipe doesn't call for carrot, but I'm going to add it. It'll help stretch the recipe a little bit, give it some color, and a little bit more aromatically pleasing. When it comes to your onion, since this is a roast, we're not going to dice it, we're not going to mince it, we're not going to cut it up really fine. We're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces, basically. Cut your bottom off, flip it around, cut the top off, mind your fingers, right down through the middle. Then you can peel off the first couple outer layers. Should be relatively easy. Get rid of bad spots like that. Take as much off as you need. Both halves. I'm going kind of deep on this one just so I don't have to worry about any bad spots. All we're going to do is we're going to cut this half this way, half again, and quarter it. That'll give us good bite-sized pieces. Sometimes the onion will fall apart when you cook it, sometimes it won't. And again, half, then quarter those halves. Now onto our Brussels sprouts. We're gonna half these. First, like any leafy green, you wanna make sure you get it, take off the 2 or 3 outside layers, just because they're dirty and we don't want that. Cut off the bottom, stand it up, right down the middle. Brussels sprouts, a lot of people call them baby cabbages. They can be a bit bitter to taste. Personally, I like to steam them with cheese sauce. Now the cheese sauce gets to be the problem when it comes to the health. But a lot of people just do butter. Some people salt, pepper is usually a good way to go. While I've been dicing and peeling all this stuff, I've had the oven preheating to 400 degrees. So I've got everything peeled and mostly ready to go. We're gonna wash this and we're gonna bring it back, cut it up to about 1-inch cubes, bite size, and toss it into our bowl, which I already have our olive oil in. And we're just gonna rinse these really quickly in water. Rinse some of the dirt off. Give it a good toss to shake the excess water off of it. Alright. We'll just bring our bowl over here. Dump them right in there just like that. The bigger pieces you cut of these root vegetables, the longer it's going to take them to cook through. So you're going to want to do not too big of pieces, but about like that. And the smaller pieces are going to cook faster, and they might get overdone if you're not careful. All right. Now when you're cutting your turnip, you're going to cut it like you would the onion or any other, or like a potato. So down through the middle, lay it flat, and we're going to cut the same way we cut the onion. Down the middle again. And cut those middles into 4s. I think we're going to cut them one more time. Those are some pretty big pieces. Cut them into pieces bite size. Now your sweet potato, we're going to split it long ways so we can get some better cuts on it. And I don't know if you can see that, but if you look, there's a lot of fibers in there. It's high fiber, it's got good carbs, and once we do this, it'll taste fantastic. I'm going to split it long ways again. Then we're just going to chunk it up. Nice bite-sized pieces. As you can see, the carrots are a little bit more of a darker orange than the sweet potato. That'll give some nice contrast to the roast as well. Now on to our other ingredients, which is going to be our honey, our ground ginger, our rosemary leaves, and our garlic cloves and salt and pepper. Garlic. Sometimes people can fight to get the hard peel off the outside of the garlic. This is crushed garlic. You take a wide bladed knife, lay your garlic clove on a cutting board, lay it flat like that, and give it a smash. That hard skin comes right off. It's crushed, it's opened up, it is very aromatic. That's one clove. 2 cloves. 3 cloves. 4. And we're going to measure out the honey now. Now it calls for 3 tablespoons. Trying to get anything sticky like honey can be really tricky to get it all scraped out of whatever measuring device you have. This is a neat one. It has cups, milliliters, pints, cups, ounces, and it just twists. This works really good for anything sticky, like honey, peanut butter, even mayo, salad dressings, things like that. Because all you have to do is figure out how much you need, pull it down so the top, this black top, is where you need it to be. Set it down. And fill to the line accordingly. Three tablespoons works out to about 1.5 ounces. And all I have to do is tip it, and it scrapes right off the side. Let that run off. And now instead of trying to scrape 3 sides, I only have to scrape 1. If you can find good local honey and you have allergies, that is one of the best things to help with your allergy symptoms. You take a tablespoon of honey in the morning, 1 at night before allergy season really starts kicking in. It's local honey. It'll help with your allergies. Something about the way the bees process the honey, it just nullifies some of those. It's not a cure-all, but it does help. Tablespoon of rosemary leaves. Since we don't have the rosemary sprigs. Rosemary is a very piney looking needle. And if you smell rosemary, you can tell it. But it is very good on roast. Next, we're going to add our salt and pepper. Fresh ground pepper is, in my mind, always best. If you're going to salt, a lot of people recommend sea salt. It doesn't have a lot of the chemicals that iodized table salt has, but if that's what you've got, it's what you've got. Now for our ginger. Since this is not fresh ground ginger, it's it's dehydrated ginger, powdered. You're not going to use as much. So this only calls for 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. Now we're just going to toss this stuff all together, get the oils and the seasonings all mixed together. If you're not confident in your tossing skills, you can use a spoon, you can use rubber gloves and mix it with your hands. Now on to our meat. I said this is a beef round roast. I said it's more than we need for this recipe. We only need about 3/4 of this. So that's what I'm going to do. Just going to cut it 3/4. So now that we've got this, we're just going to split it right down the middle. All right. We've got our meat cut, our veggies ready. So now I've got 2 pieces of aluminum foil that we're going to lay these on. Since it's going to go together anyway, I'm going to set that right there. I'm going to start with our meat right there in the middle. I'm going to take and just scoop out our veggies and just put it all around it. Because those seasonings that are on the vegetables are going to just marry right into that meat really nice. I'm going to set that on our cookie sheet. You could also turn this into a stew. All you need is a big pot with some water. I would add some beef base or bouillon or broth to it, and just turn that on put that on your stove, medium heat, and just let it cook all day long. Veggies will get good and done, your meat will be nice and tender, and just like that, there's our foil wraps, and those are going to go in the oven. You want to make sure this is as close to the center of the oven as possible when it comes to high and low. Close that up. That's in the oven. It's going to bake for 25 to 30 minutes. Some of the vegetables and meat took a little bit longer to cook than normal. That's expected. Oven temperatures vary. You want to make sure you leave your oven closed for the duration of most of the cooking, because that'll adjust your temperature as well, and you have to kind of start over. Pull it out here. You want to make sure that the meat is done, and starting at 125, 130, that's about medium rare if that's what you prefer. You can always cook it a little bit. 160 is ideal. If you could smell this, you'd be really happy with me. As you can see, our Brussels sprouts are nice and cooked. Really tender there. They still got some crunch. You don't want to overcook vegetables, because by overcooking them, you cook all the nutrients right out of them. So you want to keep some crisp to it. Like when you cook green beans or any vegetable like that, you end up with green water. You've cooked all the nutrients right out of it. So this is more of a steam thing. And there we have it.
Thanks, Russ. That looks amazing. I can't wait to try it out for my next Meatless Monday. Now we will answer some of your nutrition-related questions from our viewers. Remember, you can have your questions answered on the show by simply emailing mctv.health@gmail.com. Our first question is from Jeff. Jeff writes, I have always heard that we should be drinking 8 glasses of water a day. Should we really be drinking that much water, and how big is a glass? Also, do things like coffee or juice even count towards water consumption? Thanks, Jeff. That's a great question, especially as we head into the hot summer months. There are many different opinions on how much water we should drink every day. The most common recommendation is 8 8-ounce glasses every day. It's called the 8x8 rule, and it's so common because it's very easy to remember. However, no single formula fits everyone, and knowing more about your body's needs for fluids help you make a better estimate. Water is your body's principal chemical component, and it makes up about 60% of your body weight. Water carries nutrients to your cells, flushes out toxins, and provides an ideal environment for our ear, nose, and throat tissues. Every day, we lose water through breathing, perspiration, and waste. Not replacing this water could lead to dehydration. Remember that foods also contribute to your daily water intake, especially fruits and vegetables. Beverages such as milk and juice are composed mostly of water and can also contribute to your fluid goals. Even coffee, soda, or beer can contribute, but these should not be a major portion of your daily fluid intake. Water is still your best bet because it's calorie-free, inexpensive, and readily available. So, in summary, the 8x8 rule is a good place to start. Listen to your body and drink when you're thirsty. Remember, if you are exercising in a hot or humid environment, have an illness that causes fluid loss, or if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, your needs for fluids are increased. Our second question today is from Kelly. Kelly writes, I'm trying to watch what I eat by counting calories and using a phone app to help me keep track of what I eat. However, sometimes when I go to add food to my food diary, the calorie count seems to be off, either high or low. Where can I go to get good estimates of the calories for meals I cook at home that don't come out of a box? Hi Kelly, thank you for your question. First of all, you are doing a great job already by putting in a great deal of effort toward eating healthy. Calorie counting can be a tricky and tedious job. The most accurate source I have found is the USDA Food Composition Database. You will find just about every food you can think of, as well as nutrition information for different fast food chains or restaurants. The problem with the database is that it does not connect easily to any particular app, which makes it hard to navigate. However, it is a good place to cross-check your information if you feel like your app is inaccurate. The most user-friendly app that I have found is called MyFitnessPal. It calculates your calorie needs based on your gender, age, weight, and activity level. If you are cooking homemade recipes, you can add all the ingredients for the recipe into MyFitnessPal, and then it will give you the total calorie count for the entire dish. Divide it up based on how many servings you will eat, and then you'll have your total calorie count for your meal. It takes a little bit of time, but once the recipe is uploaded, you can use it over and over. Of course, your other option is consulting a local registered dietitian at a grocery store or an outpatient clinic to give you one-on-one help during your healthy eating journey. Our last question for today comes from Lisa. I've been trying to read food labels more carefully lately, but sometimes the grams of sugar still confuses me. What exactly is the definition of added sugar and what foods contain it? Hi Lisa, thank you for asking this important question because it can help so many of us. Sugars in your diet can be naturally occurring or added. Naturally occurring sugars are found in foods such as fruits and milk. Added sugar is defined as sugars or syrups that have been added to foods during processing or cooking. The American diet as a whole contains way too much added sugar. Sugar contributes no nutrients, but many added calories that can lead to those extra unwanted pounds. The main sources of added sugar in our diets are regular soft drinks, candy, cakes, cookies, fruit drinks, and dairy desserts such as ice cream. There are also many hidden sources of added sugar that we may not realize, which is why it's important to read the food label. Some foods that have more added sugar than you'd expect include tomato-based pasta sauce, fat-free salad dressings, ketchup and barbecue sauces, breakfast cereals, granola or granola bars, flavored yogurt, and canned fruits or fruit juices. When looking at the label, look at the total grams of sugar. The recommendation for added sugar is about 7 teaspoons or about 30 grams per day. As a reference point, only 1 can of Coke contains 39 grams of added sugar, which is way over budget. Be mindful that if you are looking at a dairy product or a product with fruit in it, some of those grams of sugar may be natural. It's always good to compare products in the grocery aisles. Thank you so much for tuning in with us this week. We can't wait to see you again at our next episode. Keep your thoughts and questions coming. Until next time, here's to your health.